Okay. All right. I'll move this out of the way here. Again, this is Watch Global Ministries. We've been presenting Sister Time Challenge series, in particular financial free challenge, and we have been talking about finances all week, income, real estate, profits and losses, and savings is on tonight. I want to talk with you guys about a couple things, a couple ways that we handle our finances and the things that we're doing, budgeting God's way. This is our financial free challenge. This is actually day 6, even though I have 2 there. We did not do it on the second day. We did a little adjusting, but again, it's budgeting God's way. I pray you guys have been with us with our prayers. If not, we can always pray without ceasing throughout the day. This class session, and just getting through my screen. For those who don't know, I am Pastor Brenda Stringfellow, and we will begin our presentation on tonight. We're talking about budgeting God's way, and that is the first thing we want to discuss is what is a budget. And so a budget is a plan of how to spend your money. It's a plan of how to spend your money. If you don't plan to spend, you will misspend your plan. What do I mean by that? You could spend monies that you could have or would have allocated to other plans or things that you wanted to do in the future. And when you do not plan, you could spend out and have to borrow or not be able to fund any project or ideas or ventures that you want to partake in. A spending plan allows you to determine in advance if you have enough money to do the things that you want to do or the things you need to do. And if you don't have money to take care of your basic needs, then you have a problem. You end up having to stress yourself out with loans or to go out, or in some cases, we have our seniors who are having to decide between getting medicine or paying a bill or paying rent, and they need their medicine. And so that is sometimes because of not enough income in the initial time that they were earning the income, or they just did not have a budget set aside to handle the expenses correctly. So the question would be, would we balance your income with your expenses? And the answer would be absolutely not. You do not balance your income with your expenses. Why? Because the results of balancing your income with your expenses, you would go in debt, which means going in debt first and then generating income to pay the debt, which is not a great thing to do. You know, you don't want to go in debt because you end up imbalanced with more debt than you would income. It's like trying to catch up with bills that you have made or accumulated in advance. And you don't want to do that, because if you do, the results is you're going to have a crazy face trying to figure out what's happening. Okay. You want to actually balance your expenses within, hi Cherie, within your income. That's what you would rather do. You want to balance your expenses within your income, which means you got to income first. You generate your income, you earn your income, you set your income aside, and then you, budget yourself with your expenses within that time frame. That's how you would operate under that mode, okay? When you have income already and you make your budget, then you have finances that you could set aside. I like to label my money. You want to label that money, because then if you put a label on something, you're less likely to use it for something else. And then the result is a happy face. Okay, you got a thumbs up and a big smile on your face because you probably have more money than bills, or you have enough money to meet your bills. So you really want to get into the habit of balancing your expenses within your income. Well, what does the Bible say about budgeting? Proverbs 22:7. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. And that's self-explanatory. If I have to borrow money from anyone, then I'm a slave to them because I owe them. And I've got to work it off to pay them back. Okay? I'm slave because I owe them, and I've got to work it off to pay them back. So I'm like in bondage, so to speak. You know, you're always chasing after money with a part-time job, a full-time job, a temp job, or trying to earn finances some kind of way, chasing after money. I don't want to chase after anything but God. And the Bible tells us to owe no man nothing but love. Okay, and we can never run out of love. You're never able to rest from your labor. You're always trying to figure out how to generate. You know, part-time job, full-time job, and then baking something on the side or sewing on the side. Now, if you do it because you want to and not because you have to, that's a different thing. There's nothing wrong with using your gifts or having extra money, but I'm talking about when you have to do it to meet the necessities of life. And the Bible tells that God supplies all of our need according to his riches and glory, which means he's given us the supply. It's just we have misappropriated the supply for that need. We're never able to enjoy payday. How many of you all kind of regret when payday is coming? You know, most people would be excited, but not when you got bills waiting on you at the table talking about, as soon as I get it, it's gone. Nobody wants to live, and that's the easiest way to get caught up in that, living from paycheck to paycheck. You resent the first. You don't want it the first day of the week because you don't want to go to work. You don't want to go on the first day, Monday. You don't want to go to the first of the month because you know you got to pay bills. You don't want to do the first bill because you know it's going to come around again. You don't even want to answer the phone on the first ring. You know, we have cell phones now. We have caller ID because we're hiding from the collection agency or the billing person. Even our cars. Sometimes people are hiding their cars in garages. You're not enjoying the fruit of your labor. You know, mom taught me and my dad taught me, when you're working, look, spend some on yourself. But we know how we are. I know how I am. I don't like to have bills. I don't like to owe anybody anything. Okay. And so I had stopped enjoying my money because I was paying people. But then I got into the habit of saving so well that I stopped even paying myself. So I have to really push myself sometimes to, hey, Brenda, you need to go and do a little bit for yourself. Go shopping. Go to a movie, get your hair done, get your nails done, do something that you enjoy. Or even if it's spending money on somebody else, it's extra money, and that makes me feel good. What does the Bible say about budgeting? Well, Proverbs 3:9 says, honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruit of all your produce. We need to give him his first, because if you put it in his hands first, he'll take care of the rest. What does that look like? Well, in a 24-hour day, 10% is 2 hours and 40 minutes. Okay, that's a day. He's asking for 2 hours and 40 minutes a day. We do the more, we give the job 8 hours. If we do that, we would have 21 hours and 20 minutes to do whatever we want to do, but give him his first. In money, 10% of $100 is $10. So you have 90 to do whatever you want. It's not that we owe God, okay? We owe him the tithe. It's not that he owes us. It all belongs to him. And he's trusting us to use it properly. So he's saying, look, give it to me first, 10%. Even your talents. You have the potential to develop 100% of your talent, 100%. And he's only asking for 10%. Even in your talents, you should be giving 10% back to him. There are many ways to do that. Whether it's for a nonprofit organization, whether it's for your church, whether it's for a community organization, whether you can dance. If you're a decorator, 10% should be given back to God. A singer, an athletic person, artistic person. If you're an author, 10% of that talent should be given back to God. A comedian, if you have a gift of hospitality, an encourager, a motivator, you should be given 10% back. And the other 90%, look how much more we could do for ourselves and other things, but 10% belongs to him. And I guarantee you that 10% to him will pay more than the 90% to someone else. Your gift will make room for you. It's right there in the book, Proverbs 18:16. It says, a man's gift opens doors for him and brings him before great men. Budgeting is wisdom. Luke 14:28 says, which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the costs, whether he has enough to complete it? Who goes out and say, you know what, I'm going to get me a $300 outfit, matching purse, matching shoes, because we know we love to match. and you don't even, you get up to the register and you got this $300 worth of stuff. You don't have a credit card. And if you did have one, it's maxed out and you only got $100 in your purse. One thing I hate, and that's just my own pet peeve, ladies, you all can give me some stars and some thumbs up if you feel like this, is to get to a register and you don't have enough and they've got to take some stuff off. Ooh, I hate that. Don't take nothing out, because everything I took my time to shop for, I want it. I need it, or I want it. That's embarrassing for me. It's just as embarrassing as if they forget to take a tag off of my item and I get to the door and it buzzes. That is irritating to me. So you count up the cost first. You know, just like when you go shopping for a car, when you go shopping at the restaurant, you look at the menu, and if you don't just have money you could throw away, you look and see how much does this meal cost, and you figure out, well, what's in your mind? What did you decide that you were going to pay for this meal when you decided to go out? No one wants half of anything. Not half done, not half baked, not half cooked. Who wants a half a house or a half a car? You got the foundation of the house, but you can't get the rest of it built. You've wasted money. And I've seen places like that where they have a foundation. It's been there for years because they don't have the money to pay for the rest of the house, or something happened in the process, or a half a car. Here's a half a car. I can't drive a half a car. No tank, no driving wheel, no seat in the front, no steering wheel, no rearview mirror. You don't want half of that. Okay, we want to make sure we count up the cost. Why settle for half? Anybody want a half a wife or half a man, half a husband? Not me. Not me. I need a whole man. Thank God I got a whole husband, right? You don't want half. That looks crazy. And you hungry. And then you got to settle for a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Now, don't get me wrong, they good, but I don't want a half-eaten sandwich because I didn't count up the cost, so I'm getting leftovers. Not when I don't have to. Don't force me to it. Or a half a glass. I'm broke. Can't even get some glass of water. Can't get anything to drink without getting cut. Why settle for half when you can budget and have it all? Can I get some thumbs up for that? Can I get an amen? When you can have it all. Start a budget. We need to start a budget, okay? And how do you do that? You want to list what matters to you. Then put them in order of value. List what matters. What's important to you? What should be on the top of your list? Your list may not be like someone else's list, okay? Set goals. Your goals could be a timeline. Your goals could be an amount. It could be the quantity of an item. Your goal could be how many people you want to include in it. You know, set goals. Make your list and then set goals. Timelines are normally the goals we set, that we want to have a certain amount by a certain time. I have a vacation account that I started in January. So by the time the summer months roll around, I automatically get a deposit of a lump sum June 1st. And that prepares me. It's a little late for a vacation to pay for it because I'm paying all along, but then I've got spending money or I've got some extra money in doing that. Determine your income. You should know how much you're earning, and not your gross, because you don't get your gross, you get your net. You need to know how much you are earning and then make arrangements according to that earning. You need to determine your expenses, because everyone has expenses except for children. And they may tell you that they need allowance, like they got expenses, but we do teach them how to save and we teach them how to be responsible. So you want to determine your expenses. We're talking about expenses for your home, natural expenses like gas, lights, food, your rent, your car note, and then other things outside those expenses would be your credit cards, your revolving accounts that we talked about before, the non-revolving accounts, things that you may have for medicine or for gas in the car or for social life. You know, that's an expense. Determine your budget, you know, how much you can spend for each one of those. There's something in my book. I have a book. I don't know if you guys could see that. It's called Finances Will Not Divorce My Marriage. Now, I just want to make something clear. This marriage that we're talking about is not just between a husband and a wife. This marriage is partnerships. for those who are in businesses, friendships, for those who have friends, male or female, kinships, your relatives. Okay, those are the type of marriages. All those are marriages. They're relationships. That's what we're talking about. And you can get this book off of Amazon.com. Amazon carries the book. It's not expensive. It has some good nuggets in it. It gives you a foundation. And this is where I talk about the 10, 10, 30, 50 and other ways to save and how to pay things off. 10, 10, 30, 50 rule is 10% I give first to God, 10% of my earnings, okay? And I give 30% to self. And these numbers can fluctuate, just depends on how you want to divide it up as far as self, but not the 10%, unless you want to give 15% to redeem the time, and you can find that in Leviticus. 10% is savings. You should put 10% in savings for the future that you don't touch. And you can divide that 10% up to emergency cash, petty cash, or retirement or future in that 10%. And the largest amount, which is the largest that we have in our bills, is 50% for expenses. Everything else should fall in that 50%. And I hate to tell you, if you're spending more than 50% of your income on expenses, then you're living above your means. Okay, you're upside down, and you're liable to end up owing more or living from paycheck to paycheck, or really kind of falling behind. And we have to be careful. If you have credit cards, you need to check on your credit cards to see how much you have spent, what the interest rate is, you know, how often have you been late, because it affects your credit. And we talked about credit and credit scores, and we know how important that is, so we won't go into that. You want a balanced budget. What does that mean? A balanced budget is when your income is equal to or greater than your expenses. That's a balanced budget. It could be equal to or greater than your expenses. Okay? Surplus budget, and you see we got the little piggy bank here, and then we got, I don't know if anybody gets bands of money. You know, that says $500 or $100 on those bands of money right there. A surplus is when you actually have income that exceeds your expenses. And not just exceeded, but also that you have enough to save, okay? Enough to save. I remember years ago, someone asked me, well, you know, I never have enough to save. And I said, well, you know, you always have enough to save, whether it's $5, $1, $10, $25. And they was like, no, I want to save a lot of money, but you don't have a lot of money to save. And if you save something, it's better than nothing, because even that something will grow into be something bigger and something more than if you don't save anything at all. If you're sitting around waiting till you got $200, $300, $400, $500 to save, you probably will never have a savings, and you'll probably always live from paycheck to paycheck, and you'll probably always have a job and be just above broke. Okay, so you want to get to that point where you have a surplus, where you can actually put money away to save. Then there's the deficit budget. Okay, the deficit budget is when you have more expenses than revenue available to pay for the spending that you have done or need to do. A deficit, when you owe, okay, and when you don't have enough money to pay what you owe. And how you want to combat that is by going, it's also in my book, I talk about the banana split, where you're paying your bill. Say you have a bill due at the end of the month. You want to take half out of your first paycheck and half out of the second paycheck, so you're not drained. And then by the time the end of the month you have the whole, and you can pay it. There's also something in my book called the double Dutch, where you can pay double and pay off your whatever the bill is in half the time, in less time. Okay, so you want to have, if you have a deficit, that means you don't even have enough to pay your bill. You don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. And I've seen that, and I hear that often. Well, I'm expecting my income tax, and so I'm gonna go out here and go into debt here and go into debt there. Wrong. Okay, you don't want to do that. Do not count your chickens before they hatch. Why? Because it might be empty. You never know what could happen. The government on that income tax check, you know, last year, I do taxes, they dropped how much you can earn last year, how much you got back. And if you all noticed it was a significant amount. It made a big difference. I was very upset. And I did all the research, I did all my studying, and I did the best I could to get back as much money for my clients as possible. but still it was short. I remember a time I get back 10, 20, 15, almost $20,000 in income tax return. I always, whenever I start a job, I always put down 0 exemptions. I want them to take it out at the end. Take it out at every paycheck. At the end of that paycheck, take out as much money as possible so that I can get back as much money at the end of the year. You can have it now, do whatever, but at the end of the year, then I have mine. When you count your money or spend it before you get it, you end up sweating, trying to figure out how to take this little amount of money to pay all of these bills, my taxes, my debt. And you know, there's always the unexpected. Somebody pops up, something pops up at the last minute. Somebody might need to borrow, and you know your heart is going out to them, or you may have broken something. You know, my son, I know he may kill me, but he was trying to make a venture here. Something happened where he had to use the money for something else. But it happens, okay? So you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. Budgeting God's way, you want to know the condition of your finances and give attention to your responsibility, okay? Who are you taking care of? Do you have dependents, children? Are you a father or a husband and you have your wife and children? Or maybe you're taking care of your elderly parents. What about your own personal needs? Are there things that you wanted to do for yourself or that you need to do? Did you have an appointment? You know, they've got co-pays for everything. Co-pay for the dentist, co-pay for the doctor, co-pay for the specialist, co-pay for everybody else. Everybody wants money and they don't care how they get it. So I want to know, are you ready to be a game changer in your finances? Are you ready to be a game changer in your finances? We have to be conscious about our finances. We have to know what's going out and give an account for it. If you can give a general account and be a little bit more specific, in general, I should say, of where your money is going, you can almost make your own budget, your own portfolio of how your expenditures are going out and how much is coming in. And then you can see where you can cut it. I heard my pastor talk about how he was addicted. You know, he lives in the airport. He was addicted to Starbucks coffee. He had a credit card for Starbucks coffee. And what he was doing is every time he went, he'd charge it up. It didn't matter. You know, that credit card could be dangerous if you don't know how to use it. You end up charging it up. So here, I want to give you all something special here. I have the 300 Club that I'm starting. I've started the 300 Club. You all talk to Faith Queen Wiki, and it's empowered to rise out of the bottom pit of debt, to rise out of poverty, to rise out of robbing Peter to pay Paul, to rise out of lack to having more than enough. And I call that the 300 Club. And so this is what I'm looking for to help people in this to become 5G, F-I-I-G, financially independent individual giants. People who have now know how to take charge and take dominion of their finances. You're not chasing after money, but money is attracted to you. When you learn how to manage your money will start to come to you. You'll begin to find money. Money will just all of a sudden be available. People will give you money. Things will cost less. You'll be able to keep more money in your pocket. And that's what we're talking about this year for 2020, keeping more money in our pocket. I found this nice saying. I thought it was awesome. And men, no disrespect and no disregard for you either. She remembered who she was and the game changed. Men, he remembered who he was and the game changed. You all know about games. And you all know this woman here. Send up some hearts and some thumbs if you know who she is. This is her game face. Michelle Obama, yes. First Lady Michelle Obama. She remembered who she was and the game changed. She made a difference. She took the opportunities that she had and she made it work for her. She found herself giving, and the more she gave, the more she received. That sounds familiar. Give and it'll be given back to you. Press down, shake it together, and run it over. She's a game changer, but you know what? She's not the only game changer. There are many who are game changers, but the ones I'm talking to right now who took the time to come on tonight, guess what? Put your picture in that spot. Are you ready to be a game changer? Are you ready to be a part of the 300 Club and be empowered to rise? With all of the information we have shared all week long about finances, about understanding your credit and credit score, about streams of income, which we will tap in a little bit here. I got a little extra for you, about retirement and investments. Are you ready to be a game changer? Can you make a difference? Is that you? I want to give you an example of a diversified portfolio. The Lord gave me this morning. I was studying, and I thank Faith and I thank Miss Green. That helped me to go back in and insert one more slide that I had that I wanted to share with you tonight. And I want to thank you guys also. I know we went over a little bit last night, but we're going to give you a little bit time back on tonight. A diversified portfolio. So this is what it looks like. This is a sample of one. It's like a pie. And if you know these numbers, they all add up to 100%. I want you all to pay close attention to this, men and women. 100%. We got a 35%, 7%, 8%, a 20%, and 30%. Now, are these numbers fixated? No. Are they inclusive? No. You can change these numbers, but this is from an institution that says that these are averages that you should have. They're close to it. Sometimes you can tweak them, but this is a good start, okay? Domestic stock. Your portfolio, Elder Shamika asks, no, your eggs should not all be in the same basket. Actually, last night was a twofold with Faith Queen Wiki. Okay, she gave us not only a company that allows you to earn streams of income, but also this company helps you to fund your portfolio. Okay, and we'll talk about that later, but that's what that company does, help you to fund your portfolio and give you streams of income in order to earn that money. And then it gave you another means to earn, and that was through Bitcoin. But the domestic stock is stock of American companies that you can get a portion of. CVS, these are the top four. CVS. Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. I didn't ask my watch anything. Excuse me, that's these watches here, right? CVS Pharmacy is the top domestic, is the top American company that you can get stock from. Dollar General, I was very surprised. I do my homework. Dollar General is a company that you can also get stock in. And their stuff is what? Dollars? A few dollars? Okay? Their stuff is mostly all $1. Intuit. Now, you may not be familiar, then some of you may if you're into your internet. Intuit is a software that I know that I even use to do taxes. And then Verizon, the phone company. They say in domestic stock, your portfolio should comprise of 35% of domestic stock. Now, these are not inclusive, but these are the top four. You know, and if you have Cash App on your phone, you'll see that there are other stocks that you're actually able to purchase right there on your Cash App. AT&T, Nike, Walmart. They're right there on their Cash App. The second one is bonds, and I'm going back from some of the greatest to the largest, so to speak. Bonds, which is the third one actually, is an instrument of indebtedness of the bond issuer to the holder, like municipal or corporate bonds. What they do is you loan them money. They take your money and they make money and you get a little interest rate back on it. They're saying you should have 20% of this, okay? The next one is foreign stock. And that's stock directly from another country that's not your home country. They're saying you should have about 30% of foreign stock. Should you have all of these? If you can. That's a good diversified portfolio, but if you don't, then you can replace these with things that you are more interested in having or things that are more lucrative for you. But 35%, so you have 35% in domestic stock, you have 30% in foreign stock, and you have 20% in bonds. And then REITs, which is real estate investments. Trust is a company that owns and in most cases operates income producing real estate. And we talked about that before. They're saying you should have 8% of that. So you may not own the whole business, but just having a percentage of a business, that's still a diversifying your income. It's another stream of income. It's a way to branch yourself out. You know, you may use one to back up another if it falls short, but having different ones can keep you kind of balanced or keep you able to keep you in a position where you're able to constantly have income that's rotating. Okay, and that could be your, if you want to own buildings, properties, or houses, rent houses, they flip houses, or like she talked about, laundromats, or machines, vending machines. Those are your real estate investments, which could be land or businesses, okay? And then there's the precious metal. This is the fifth category, precious metal. These are rare and naturally occurring metallic chemical elements of high economic value. For example, platinum, we all are familiar with that, especially in jewelry. Gold, we're familiar with that in jewelry and in bars. Silver, you know, silver has become more popular in the last decade or so, 20, like actually 30, 40 decades. People love silver. Palladium, and that's white gold. That's what palladium is white gold. And others, these are metals. They're saying you should have 7% of precious metal, okay? But guess what? Bitcoin is also a precious metal. Bitcoin, and I have something very, very interesting that I discovered, and I'm going to move this down here. Hopefully it'll move with me, because my next slide will show you here what they're saying about Bitcoin. It's a currency. Yes, it is. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. Okay, I need to move this over here. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, but it's real money, but it's not legal tendency. What does it mean? You can't just take it and go anywhere and say, here, I want to pay with Bitcoin. It's not there yet. And that's why it's so valuable as well. And it's limited in its quantity, even in what they are designing to make in the next 10 to 15 years. It is not, you can't just use it everywhere. You have to find places that will accept it, or you can go into the Forex market or put into an exchanger and change that Bitcoin into US dollars. Its entire network could one day be worth more than $6 trillion, okay? It is predicted that a Bitcoin's value at the end of 2020, this year, will be $1 million. But the part that really blew me is they're saying it's already more valuable than gold. And also, they're saying that Bitcoin, proof of that is 6%. It should be 6% of your precious metal. So if you're saying that the precious metal should be 7% and that Bitcoin by itself should be 6%, that only leaves 1% room for anything else. But again, these numbers vary, right? You can switch them around as you're building your portfolio, or, you know, you can do it as have this as a model base to build up from it, but it helps you to diversify. And if there are other things that you would like to invest in, traditional accounts, there's a category for it. And you can always tweak this model. But this is the pie I wanted to show you guys to give you a little information on how you can diversify. There's another one I didn't put on here, and that's the old-fashioned piggy bank. Okay, you can always put money in a piggy bank. And I forgot to bring my piggy bank down. I had it with me when I taught on Savings with Bishop a couple of weeks ago. I have a piggy bank where you actually put the money in it, coins, and I use only silver in this one, and it'll actually count it up for you. And I had about $52 then, but I also had some green. I like green. I like green, and silver makes another color green, you know, and I had, I would ball up $10 bills and $20 bills and $50 bills in it. And once it got, you know, too much, then I take it to the bank. I let them convert it into all bills, any change, leave it in there. And then I will do something else with that money. I will put it into an investment, or I'll put it into a savings, or I'll put it into one of my pies or for later. But I always make sure I handle that one properly as well. Okay, so this is what I wanted to share with you guys today. This has been our Financial Free Challenge series. Understanding credit and credit scores, what we had on day one. I'm the team leader to Tri-City of Chicago under Faith Queen Wiki Sloan, which is under the Cash FX Group. I'm also the president and CEO of Watch Global Ministries. And I've been one of your instructors, excited for that. As a recap, we had Financial Free Challenge. Day 2, we had Savings Investments by Queen Wiki. And she gave us some great pointers on that. Day 3, we had Financial Free Challenge Retirement Funds by Mayoris Green, who is a certified public accounting, and she gave you all of her information in regards to that. We want to thank her for that. And day 4 and day 5 today, we had day 4, Streams of Income. Success is a decision. So if you're ready to be a part of the 300 Club, I invite you to call me. You can email me. You can email at Sister Time Bible Series at Sister Time Bible Series at gmail.com. And Elder Shamika, get that information to me.
Bible Study Series at gmail.com.
Say that again.
Sister Time Bible Study Series at gmail.com.
Okay. Sister Time Bible Study Series at gmail.com. Or you can email me at watchglobalministries@gmail.com. Today was about budgeting God's way. I do want to open up any questions before we move forward. Do you all have any questions about what we talked about? Because this is, of course, you could support the cause. I'll put this up here. If you'd like to donate to Watch Global Ministry, your money is impactful into the community. Even if you just want to, bless us any kind of way that you would like to bless us. Even if you have tips or ideas of classes that you would like to be seen. But right here, I'll stop. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask, I will take these at this time. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. Any questions? No one had questions on your screen, Elder?
I'm checking it out.
All right.
Giving a couple of minutes. So what about, you talked about earlier having a balanced budget and not creating debt or living above your means.
Mm-hmm.
But what about and how to manage with the 10-10 30-50 rule and creating your budget that way? But what about those people who have already created debt, so to speak, and are already out of balance? Do you have any suggestions for those, those people?
For the people who are already in debt or find yourself having more bills than money, what I would suggest, number one, is don't stress about it. Try not to stress, because when you stress about it, you make rash decisions. You'll go out to what, you already know. I don't agree with pay loans, but people do what they do. Their choice, it's a decision. You don't want to stress. That's number one. Number two, you want to make sure you write down and prioritize what you have. Okay, you need a roof over your head. You have to have food to eat. You want to have your basics. You always want to put toward that. One of the things that I did, and I can suggest as well, is if you can call companies that you are indebted to and you're not able to make the minimum balance, you can call them sometimes and ask them if it's in a shop. And sometimes they may have a leniency or a waiver. Say you were late. They will, and remember this, they will waive a late fee free once a year. Every company will waive it once a year. All you have to do is call. If you have medical bills that you're not able to pay, there's a program at the hospitals that they write those things off at the end of the year. You can actually call into their business office and ask them, tell them that you want to have a waiver for the income, for the expense of the medical bill, and they will give you a link or tell you exactly where to go to pull their form, fill it out, and submit it. I know someone who did it a couple of years ago, and all of their medical bills were wiped out. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing you could do is try to always give something toward a bill. Work toward paying the smallest bill off first. When you get your income tax, because it's income tax season, don't think of that as it's just extra money. No, because as long as you owe, it still doesn't belong to you. Pay off as many bills as you can, but yes, take a little bit to enjoy yourself because you've worked hard. This is the end of the year, and this is from all of the labor you've done all year, but not too much. Go ahead and do it. If you owe income taxes, do not say, I'm not going to file because they're going to take it anyway. Guess what? You're still going to owe, and you're going to owe more. Go ahead and file. Let them take the tax return that you would have gotten because they'll apply that to your bill. Okay, and then that will help you pay it down. And then one day you will be able to file your taxes and get to keep the return or receive it. So those are a few ways.
Someone on here asked, how soon will the classes start? And I need them to let me know what classes they're referring to. if they're referring to the classes that you mentioned at the end of the slide, that was just a recap, right?
Right. Yeah, the classes at the end of the slide were a recap. There are 2 sets of classes we'll have. One, I believe, is in is it April or in August? We have 2 more sessions coming up of classes that you'll get information about those later, but 2 more times at least minimum this year. But there'll also be classes because Faith and I are going to hook up, and we know that there are some people that are interested in the Cash FX group, which they can get 6. Like today, I got paid 5 streams today, in addition to the regular things I would get on Saturday, because it was the first of the month. We get paid the 1st and the 16th, and also on the Saturday, so we got double. So we're going to work with those people who want to be a part of Cash FX. We're going to work with people who want to start purchasing a piece of that Bitcoin and whatever their goal is to get up in that. We want to work with people who want to begin to build a nest egg for their retirement, and for those who want to build an inheritance that they want to leave to their children and their children's children. So we're going to work with those people, and those are sometimes that choose to actually do it face-to-face, okay? I see she's talking about the 300
club. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to be a part of that 300 club. If you want to be a part of that 300 club, all you have to do is send an email to sistertimebiblestudyseries@gmail.com, or if you have my personal information, you can send a text to me, or you can send an email to watchglobalministries@gmail.com, and we'll get you started on that 300 club. Because what we want to do, which we start that steps into that, is getting you verified, because it's a very secure thing to do on that one. Okay? Any other questions?
Okay. I'm not seeing any additional questions, Elder.
All right. All right. Well, I do want to thank you all for allowing me to share what little knowledge that I have been given. And I hope that something has been said to encourage you, to motivate you, and to let you know that you are empowered, because the power is in your hand. It's your decision to decide if you want to stay where you are or if you want to soar to the next level. And I hope that you want to soar. And again, we have open doors for you. If you want to walk through them with us, we welcome you in. I just believe that this is the year of the great wealth transfer, and I'm trying to get as many people as possible in position to receive that wealth, and for those to know that, hey, there is about $30 trillion that's going to be transferred, and that's statistics that have been out already since the beginning, since January 1st, in the next 10 years, and you might be in position to receive some of that transfer. So take this knowledge. This is something that no one can take from you. Knowledge is power. Use it, apply it, and hey, let's go higher. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, women, for joining us for our Sister Time Bible Study Series Challenge. And the first one was the Financial Free Challenge, because we want to make sure that we're living financially free and walking into the kingdom wealth that God has for us. And in order for us to access it, we must be good stewards over the things that He has given into our hands. So we certainly appreciate you for joining us for prayer every morning and joining us for class every evening. And we pray that you have learned so much that you'll be able to apply. Our next challenge will be the Be Free Challenge, which is going to be beginning April 27th. And so you're going to hear more information about that as it is approaching. Don't forget, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, any additional classes, anything that you, any feedback that you would like to give us, feel free to email us at sistertimebiblestudyseries@gmail.com, and we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you to Pastor Stringfellow again for teaching us how to budget God's way. Thank you for her teaching us about our credit report and our credit score and understanding that. Thank you to Sister Faith Sloan, Queen Vicky Sloan, for teaching us about savings and investments and multiple streams of income. Thank you so much to Mayor's Green, the CPA, for teaching us about retirement funds. And thank you again for joining us. Let us look to the Lord. Father, how we love you, how we bless your name, how we appreciate you for being God. You're excellent and powerful. We thank you for this time that you have allowed us together. We ask that you will go before your women and your gentlemen that are on the line today and bless them indeed, enlarge their territories and bless their finances. In Jesus' name we pray and thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.